Hello, my name is Zeno, and today I want to talk about the human design system and the types. Types are something that have been gaining popularity over the last 10 years as a very quick and easy way to enter into somebody's chart. Now, I love the human design system and I appreciate what the benefit of the types might be. However, I disagree that that is actually the best place for somebody to start. For me, the best place for anyone to start is related to the centers, and the centers being either defined or undefined. This is going to tell you a whole lot of things, and from this, the types are derived. So the types are a step that follows understanding how the centers operate. But anyway, there are these generalizations that people are very fond of. And I would just say, because 2 out of 3 people are generators, this means the sacral center is defined, having the very effective information called the strategy to wait to respond, that's absolutely accurate information from my experience also. That I think the sacral definition does tell that the person having a sacral definition absolutely is benefited by checking in with the low belly and vibrating, seeing whether or not there is a response or if there is some resistance. And anybody who has a sacral center defined does need to learn how to honor this energy in his or her self, because this is a very powerful guidance system in the chart. The other type that is described effectively would be the manifester. Now, the generator and manifester are the 2 that are energy types. And so the description of the manifester is if one of the centers, there are 9 centers total and 4 of them are motors. So if you have a motor that is defined that gets to the throat, this is having a manifester as a type. And that's fine to be told to wait to inform. Once again, we're talking about sort of a good portion of the people, 40% or so, have types to do. And I think this is very, very significant. However, the original way that this was presented was there are 5 different configurations that you can see in those centers and 2 modes. The modes being either you have a design to wait or you have a design to do. And so the manifester is the only type that has a design to do. Their energy is always capable of expressing itself in the world, and so there is a tendency to be sort of oblivious to the fact that other people don't have designs to do, and there might be a tendency to tell somebody else what to do. There might be a tendency to try to do for them, but certainly there might be a judgment that a person ought to be able to do. And because it isn't given to everybody's design equally, the manifester in this formulation is advised to inform before acting. So there's something very good about telling other people, if you're a manifester, that you're going to leave the room. And I think being courteous like that, to excuse yourself and say your time is up and you're on your way to doing your own thing, is very helpful. Because when a person doesn't act from common courtesy, it leaves behind a kind of a taint, a kind of a discharge. And unless it is totally that nobody's paying any attention to you whatsoever, and you're just slipping away unnoticed, that's fine. But if there are any of those people in the room who are noticing, that can be somewhat of a disturbance to the other person. And since we're in this together, being considerate of the needs for everybody to release you, it's very nice that you, if you're a manifester, that you just advise somebody else. Look, I'm going to bed now. I am going to go to work now. I'm going to go over to somebody else's house. I'm going home now. Very easy. Doesn't have to have any charge whatsoever. So that's actually also useful. However, I happen to be one of these types. It's called a projector, and that means I have definition, but I don't have the sacral center defined, and I don't have a motor getting to the throat, so I have a design to wait. And the projector has the funkiest of the descriptions out there. Now, projector is actually a kind of a valid term in that it is describing the attention-seeking nature of the person. It's also the attention-giving nature that is built in. And so I'm all for honoring ourselves as we are. So if you happen to be a projector, what's very important is to see whether or not anybody is paying attention to you. The thing I don't like about this name is because I can't tell how somebody else is actually interpreting that meaning. So if I say I'm a projector, are they then in their mind saying, oh, this is an attention-seeking person? Is that what I'm telling them when I tell them I'm a projector? Or do they get the impression that I am paying a lot of attention to other people and am very interested in being recognized for what it is I contribute? If so, great. And the only thing that is very questionable about the name is the sense of what it means to project. Now, everybody projects onto each other, no matter what the type. So this mutual projection field that we create when we are in relationships with others is not something that is specific to a projector type. It's given to us all. And we need to be able to see and recognize what that energy is that we get from the other people. Maybe the projectors have it on the other people that it's easier to recognize, but I don't think so. I think the necessity for us to be on a wake-up plan so that we don't get confused about who's bringing what is one of the greatest benefits that the human design system offers. Now, the last of the types that I also am not terribly thrilled with listening to people who have this particular type describe themselves would be the reflectors. Reflectors have no centers defined, and that already tells you everything. Everything in the chart is reflecting what comes to that person. And so reflectors, my experience recently has been that I get this sort of confirmation that it's acceptable to be sort of self-pitying. Maybe I'm just making it up. I have a very small sample of people, but that would be certainly my caution there in buying into any given description that is justifying why you could be unhappy about the way you're designed. Because any limitation in the way you perceive it, that's your own. And having the capacity to be so open and reflect what is beautiful in the world means that that person with no centers defined can actually be a very radiant being and very tuned in to the conditioning field. And they could be sort of the canaries in the mine, so to say, of saying, okay, let's clean up our conditioning field so that we can all radiate love and harmony and peacefulness. That is the optimal. There is a fifth description called the manifesting generator, meaning that the sacral center is defined, as is a motor to the throat, could be the sacral center, which is also a motor. And so this can be a description because it is differentiating a good portion of the people who are generators that also have connection to the throat. This specification is something that many people like. I'm not that familiar with it, but I would say that to understand the centers, how the centers express and communicate, is still the very first place that you want to start.